at the top, Sergey Kovalev versus Anthony Yarde. Rob, you obviously did a live fight chat. You can obviously see the post-fight sort of show, the breakdown version of that, the highlighted version of our live fight chat on YouTube as well. But, Rob, any sort of different thoughts now that we're a couple days, post the fight? Anything changing in terms of your perception on the matchup, how it went down, or just maybe thoughts on Kovalev, Canelo going forward? Thoughts overall a couple days removed from the fight?
Not necessarily on performances. I know Tunde has come in for a hell of a lot of grief and hate on Twitter. With the stuff about him not Yarde not sparring and I don't know, just shelling lions in the camp throughout
Lions
the fight.
in the camp.
Lions in the camp. But interesting thing I noticed, I haven't watched it back, was Buddy McGirt telling Kovalev, if you take any more shots like that, I'm stopping this fight. I didn't realize that at the time. Obviously, we were doing the live fight chat and I didn't have the audio, but people have been saying because of what happened to Dadashev, he said that, but he kind of said that to Dadashev anyway. So he seems to be that kind of trainer that is obviously putting his fighter first and doesn't want to see them take too much. But obviously the Dadashev tragedy sort of highlights that, and the fact that Buddy McGirt was telling the champion Buddy Kovalev that if you take any more like that you did in round 8, I'm stopping this fight. So and was that enough for Kovalev? Because he really turned it around in the 9th. He looked like he was out of there, and then he'd come back and with a strong 10-9 round in the 9th. He looked great again, but nothing extra really, other than, like I say, interesting to hear some audio this time, having watched it back again.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it back again, and the fight definitely is still really entertaining on rewatch. I was kind of worried about that. I was thinking that maybe I would see as Kovalev kind of dominant, except for the 8th round on rewatch, because a lot of people actually had that opinion on social media and in our comment section. A lot of people seem to want to take away some credit from this win from Kovalev, which is, I understand, because, I mean, Yarde is an unknown commodity in the division until this fight. But this is one of those performances where I think we now sort of know where he stands in the division, and that's relatively in a top 10, top 15 position overall. And Kovalev had a tough 8th round, maybe lost another round in the early rounds, but relatively speaking, had a competitive, fun fight with a unheralded prospect, and that prospect rose to the occasion on certain moments in the fight. I think I'm far more intrigued about Anthony Yarde's career moving forward than I was before this fight. I was always sort of a guy of the mindset of Yarde has done nothing, he's proven nothing, but he's talking the loudest. So therefore, I don't really care that much. He's now done something, even in a loss. He's now done something, and I'm just really curious about Yarde's career moving forward. I think Kovalev, he's in that sort of twilight of his career. I see him having 5 fights tops, and then calling it a story, an end to the story of Sergey Kovalev's career.
Does that change if the next fight is Canelo? 5 fights?
Possibly, yeah. Because I said up to, so I could see it being 1 or 2 fights if, let's say, Canelo is attached to it, and then
maybe 1.
I mean, yeah, I think no matter what, he doesn't go out on a Canelo fight, even win or lose. I just don't see it happening. I see most fighters going past that point when they should stop. So let's say Kovalev wins the Canelo fight, has that money fight, he wins it, he can go off to the sunset. Is he going to do that? No, because in the history of fighting, that largely doesn't happen, so I don't assume that happens,
Yeah, I mean, look, you talk about someone like a Tommy Coyle, he's saying about one last fight and things like that. But that's Tommy Coyle that isn't necessarily getting, well, definitely isn't getting like 12 million or 10 million for a Canelo fight, right? So those kind of guys, maybe a lot more. I know the bigger guys that have always like maybe earned good money.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's a little different in circumstances. I think that a Tommy Coyle type character, think, just one more sort of payday, which isn't necessarily a payday when you look at these top end, earners, but a lot easier to walk away after, getting 8 figures, 9 figures, or whatever.
Oh, absolutely. No, absolutely. I can definitely see that.
It still happens. Yeah, it still happens. So
I mean,
But
look how long Mike Tyson kept going.
yeah.
You
But
know
remember, at one point, Don King took all his money on, so he maybe had to try and earn something
that
the
definitely.
best way he knows how.
Hey, God knows what those Russian oligarchs are like with Sergei Kovalev. Uh, but moving on, like I think we're all sort of of the same mindset. This was a fun fight, and a fight that I think most people who are educated on the sport thought was going to be a mismatch in a one-sided fight. Turned out to be quite the opposite. So that's
Yeah,
fun. We have a new real contender in the light heavyweight division in Anthony Yarde when we kind of just didn't. We thought he was sort of a hype beast before. We
it
didn't think
was.
he was anything special.
No, I mean, for me, there's a lot of things to go back and try and work on. I
Oh
think
yeah, definitely. No, definitely.
what did he land? Like 15 jabs in the fight, or something really low like that. Yeah, apparently he landed more punches on Sergey Kovalev than any
Mhm.
other opponent, which it's kind of a it's a weird stat because it was competitive, but I felt that obviously in the eighth he was close to getting him out of there, but other than that, Kovalev kind of controlled it. His experience shone through and showed just what almost the primary weapon that the jab is, and Yard just didn't seem to have one. And
No, he
I don't know.
didn't.
There's a lot of call for if he changes trainer. Some people say, ironically,
Yes.
Buddy McGirt would be ideal for an Anthony Yard and things like that. So I don't know. Tunde got him this far, and he loses a fight, and it's that get him gone. But when you hear things like no sparring, I mean, sparring's been part of the sport since forever. So if he'd have come away and won impressively, people would go
And he
sparring.
and he
What?
was he was 30 seconds away from winning that eighth round.
Maybe one or two punches. It's not even time wise, but who knows? But yeah, like I say, if Yard would have won it, how many counts would we go? Yeah, do I need to get punched in the face for 8 weeks building up to this? I don't think I will. I'll try this Anthony Yard method. It worked for him, but I don't know. But bottom line, I thought Yard done himself proud. I think got to work on the gas tank a little bit. He seemed to properly
Yep.
blow at some point, and again,
The
it's
eighth
that
round. Yeah.
the Joshua big muscles. He's quite a muscular, like heavyweight. I don't know, but yeah, there's something to address. But he done himself proud, but take nothing away from Kovalev. He's still at that sort of prime age. Well, not prime, but past his prime age, maybe, but still. Many people said
That's
under a
true.
bit of adversity, he'd crumble, he'd fold. But he came out in that ninth like his life depended on it.
People
And
were saying that Kovalev was done since the second Andre Ward fight.
yeah,
So he's still here. Credit to him, even though he's kind of a dirtbag human being. Moving on though, in the
box,
co
box.
in the co-main event, Alexei Pepin lost via majority decision against Alunga Makabu. Actually, a really fun cruiserweight fight, surprisingly, and one where both guys were found inside, exchange combinations, and Makabu was just the better, more experienced fighter. It sort of mirrored the main event in a way, in terms of clearly the experience was a massive factor in this fight. Interesting to see what Pepin does moving forward as uh, a he was an undefeated prospect at that point. Now he has a loss. It was a fun loss, competitive loss against a guy that's been there before. Just curious to see how he sort of adjusts moving forward. Rob, any thoughts on the co-main event, or you want to move on?
No, it was a fun fight. I enjoyed the fight. Makubu has back-to-back visits to Russia, right? And
Yeah,
real entertaining fights. Makes you appreciate the Bellew victory a lot more. But no, it was a fun fight, but yeah, not a great deal to. I'm sure he should probably get a title shot next, right? Makubu, what would have thought? Depends on the World Boxing Super
yeah,
Series
depends on how that shakes out.
because that was what WBC was it WBC?
Well,
Like last
what titles are outside the World Boxing Super Series right now? Are there any?
I put in the WBC because there was that whole it was going to be on the
Oh, that's right. There's that whole bullshit. Yeah, I forgot
but
about that.
I think they're putting it on for the final. So I think are they
I
all in it? Aren't they or no?
I don't know. Who cares? Who cares?
Well,
Probably. Yeah, he can probably get the next title shot of the winner of the World Boxing Super Series,
yeah,
which
that
is
was
in Lithuania, or Latvia, or some shit. Juan Francisco Estrada faced Dwayne Beamon and actually a really fun back and forth fight. Beamon came back, hurt Estrada multiple times. He didn't drop him, but he hurt him multiple times. And I gotta say, Estrada's his defense, man, it looked suspect. And actually, a thread throughout a lot of these fights I'm going to talk about is defense. That even guys like Kosei Tanaka, who we're going to talk about at some point,
Yeah, he's not the best.
that defense needs work on. And Estrada offensively, wow.
Yeah.
Left hook is on point. His ability to punch mid combination of view is always on point. He's fast, brutal with his punches, accurate. He's almost a perfect offensive fighter, but defensively speaking, he just gets caught. Like, he gets lazy sometimes. And Beamon, while not a guy that was beating Estrada really at any points, definitely hurt him, definitely made it competitive in a fun fight, which I thought wasn't going to be a fun fight. Just to sort of quickly move through the process. Liam Smith defeated Mario Alberto Lozano. Again, sort of a fun back and forth fight. No defense attached to it, but that's Liam Smith. We sort of know that that's him. He's that very traditional speaking European high guard. Head in the chest, goad the body with combinations. I am curious to see what his matchmaking is like because same with Jonah Carroll, who I'm going to talk about in a second. There was no reason for them to be on this card. Like, it felt out of place for them to be there, to be quite honest. I was hoping that wouldn't be the thing on watching it, but when I was watching, I'm like, this makes no sense. Jonah Carroll obviously won, and he won via unanimous decision in a fun fight, and a complete Jonah Carroll fight. Filip Hrgović won via TKO in the third round. Oh my God. Hrgović is one of those guys I think I'm slowly turning on and turning around in terms of I think he is a legit talent. I was unsure of that before, but offensively speaking, he is extremely gifted as well. I think, like, if you put him against Joe Joyce right now, he beats Joe Joyce easy. Let's just be honest about it. And I did not see the Diego Pacheco fight. I did see the Shakram Giasov fight against Darlis Perez. Wow. And for a guy that just went life and death with Emmanuel Taylor, he needed this win. This was huge for him. This brought hype back to Giasov when, I'll be honest, when I was there live at the forum and saw Emmanuel Taylor beat him up and kind of get robbed of a decision, I was kind of off put by Giasov. This win put me back onto the Giasov train. Rob, thoughts on this card?
Yeah, and did you see Espino as well?
No, I did not.
Little 4-rounder, and the guy really came to fight him and just pulled out a left hand that was awesome. But yeah, he looks legit as well. But yeah, like you say, fun card. Maybe a couple of fights didn't, like you say, make the sense. But if you're just watching it as a boxing match, they were good matchups. Instead of analyzing the narrative of it or anything like that or the reason, but no, fun fights. I'll be like you said, Giasov, he needed that, and that was brutal. I think Darlis Perez, obviously former world champion, he looked like he was happy to sit down and just pick up that money after copping that left hand after 30 seconds. At first, I thought, he's definitely just sitting this one out. But when he did try to get up, he did look unsteady. So I don't know, but it did look at first like early on. We get big knockdowns or whatever. Usually, because they're fresh, they can stand up again and sort of go on. Maybe it still ends in the first round because the guy jumps on them. But he was like, nah, I'm good. I'll just take that check. Thank you very much. But yeah, John O'Carroll, I don't know. He's again just someone that wants to go to war. I think to a point, Tevin Farmer made him look better than he is because there was a little bit of wind behind John O'Carroll off the back of the performance against Farmer.
Or Tevin Farmer isn't the reincarnation of Pernell Whitaker as he is sold. I'm just gonna put that hot take out there.
Yeah, I mean,
I said it. I'm sorry.
I mean, I've never. If someone's been selling that, I've never bought it.
DAZN, Matchroom.
Again, I personally haven't gone.
I didn't say you. I'm not arguing with it. I'm just saying I'm just talking to the boxing world in general right
Yeah,
now.
I mean, look, he had it on his shorts and stuff. Then
Mhm.
I mean, more in like,
Like he's really talented, but like
yeah, it's just
I'll be honest here.
quite.
I think every top 130 pounder beats Tevin Farmer. Tevin Farmer's toughest title defense has been Jonah Carroll, right? Like that would be his best name on title defense record right now. Toughest fighter in terms of accolades, and that is not a good thing.
No, I mean, I don't know, but anyway, so yeah, Carroll, we'll see, obviously what he can do or what he can get. But yeah, Estrada, credit to Beamon, he came to fight, he kept coming back to fight, but I think Estrada, like you say, his offense was just a little bit too much, and just wasn't quite at the level to cope with that. But yeah, I thought it was a great card. Looked amazing. Sellout. I think 12,000 plus in attendance. So some of these Mexican cards, especially with someone like Estrada, make real good sense.
Absolutely, yeah.
If they don't come up with Design Mexico, they're really missing out because that is subscriber driven. Just ready to be done. I wasn't expecting that to. I was thinking, so some of the design cards have been smaller venues and smaller amounts of tickets and stuff like that.
But for example, the Brandon Rios Humberto Soto card, right in Mexico, that was a relatively small theater, I want to say.
Yeah. But this, when they showed the arena, I was like, oh, are they gonna, um, you know, put curtains up around like a top section or something like that because that looks big. But no, I think one of the design crew, like production manager or something, he put out all tickets gone and sellout expected. I was like, damn. And obviously from one sellout to another back here with Matchroom for Loma Campbell. Obviously, I don't know if we're going to get to any of that or whatever, but
no Loma Campbell talk today. That's going to be tomorrow, Wednesday.
Okay. So yeah, but yeah, good card, good look good, and some fun fights on there, and good knockouts as well.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on PBC or PBC on FS1, Brandon Figueroa defeating Javier Chacon via KO in the 4th round. I mean, he was just too big, too strong, too young. I mean, it was like watching a not natural because the guy's giant for his size, but I mean a pretty big athlete beating up an old guy on the street. Like that's kind of what it looked like. I did not like this matchmaking at all for Ben Figueroa. They need to step up the competition heavily because he is good. He is really talented.
Fulton next, isn't it?
That's what they're talking about. And obviously, Stephen Fulton fought on this card, defeated Isaac Avilar, and he looked good. I still think that he probably gets beat up by Figueroa, to be quite honest, at this point. I think. Fulton at times gets stuck along the ropes, but it will be a good test to see if Figueroa can cut off the ring. Because if he really just can't, Fulton will be able to outbox him maybe for like a 10-round decision. That's 100% possible. Or actually more like a 12-round decision because he has an interim belt, right? So it'll be a 12-round fight.
How many wins is that for both of them?
This was the 20th win for Figueroa and the 17th win for Fulton.
Oh, okay. Well, they're on the same path. It's good to see that if they do, because these are prospects, right? So
yes, yeah.
It's nice to see because we've done it a few times over here and it goes down really well. Prospect versus, people go, I'll keep them, they don't need to face each other, but to do it, I like it.
I agree completely. Quick joke from the chat. Kaz with the joke about PBC for once. Look at you be objective, Kaz. Why was Chacon wearing Skechers in the ring? Yeah, that was rough. But I think the Fulton Figueroa matchup makes a lot of sense, and it's one of those where if the loser obviously loses, it doesn't hurt their stock too much because I could see ways for both guys to win, and it would just show gaps in their respective game at this point. And that's okay if you're a prospect / contender. If you have 17, 20 fights and you're just getting to that world level, it's okay not to have a complete game, but you should start having fights to where you start seeing that you don't have a complete game so you can adjust to it. You can start fixing that, showing up that hole in your game. I think Figueroa Fulton's the best matchup to make right now. Other than if you want to just, I don't know, fast track Figueroa. Again, Gamma Ringendow Figueroa does make sense.
Nah.
You could do it, and you don't kill off a prospect / contender in Stephen Fulton.
You might.
No, let's say let's say you have Stephen Fulton against like a borderline top 20 guy, just keep him busy.
Oh, right. And if they win, they win. If they lose, they lose, and they can fight each other anyway.
Yeah, so if Gamma Rigendow fights Figueroa, if Gamma Rigendow wins, okay, then we know Figueroa is not the goods yet. Stephen Fulton's next up. Okay, if Figueroa loses, I mean, if Figueroa wins and beats Gamma Rigendow, then you have Figueroa versus Stephen Fulton, which now is a legit fight. You can probably main event on Fox because you now have the Rigendow win in Figueroa's pocket. But moving on, Omar Juarez picked up a really good TKO win as well in the card. That was brutal.
It was just a 10-second exchange that ended badly for the other guy. Oh shit!
Bad.
Because hands were flying, and then oh my god, wallop! He just not good. But,
Darwin Price defeated Aaron Herrera via TKO in the second round. That's pretty big as well. A lot of the young guys for this PBC card stepped up. I want to go back and watch it, though, because I'll be honest, I kind of skimmed a lot of this card just to sort of see some of it for this show because I haven't had a lot of time this weekend to watch boxing, unfortunately. But from what I saw from everyone looked good. All the young guys looked fantastic. A lot of fun fights across the board.
See, the thing is, hopefully this is something moving on, but getting to see these youngsters for you guys, seeing these prospects on TV, that's a good thing. So you catch these guys early on. That Juarez, I think, was at 4-0, 5-0 now.
Yeah, I think so.
If his next fight's on TV, he got himself a crazy knockout that went sort of mini boxing viral. People were then, I believe, he's Texan. As well, so there's could build a following. He can be on a Charlo card. He can,
I guarantee you, Gary's going to call in and talk about him.
Yeah, the new hype train, Gary.
Yeah, 323-870-4051 Skype Mixed Combat Radio. Call in.
But yeah, I think that's a good thing because that's always my good thing about watching the UK cards is I see these young kids from debuts, and I get to watch the journey from the beginning. So. People can get invested and get behind these young guys instead of like, oh, this kid's good. Who is it? You should have seen his previous 6 fights, 7 fights, whatever. So start showing these on the undercards.
No, I agree completely. It was good because most of this card was televised, either on FS2 or FS1. Moving on, Kosei Tanaka defended his title against Jonathan Gonzalez. Actually put in a far tougher fight than probably expected, mainly just because Jonathan Gonzalez was hard to hit. Like, he was in and out of range quite easily. Like, his ability to move was probably underrated going into it. And Tanaka just had a hard time sort of landing shots at first. And then, he hurt him a couple times. I think he dropped him, in the 4th round, something like that. And then Gonzalez dropped him, I want to say, in the 5th round. And then Tanaka just finally found his range, was able to attack the body, was able to cut off the ring eventually, and just didn't let Gonzalez up in the 6th and 7th round. Finally finished him to the body and knocked him down several times. Tanaka, though, again, sort of switching back to what I said earlier and alluded to, Tanaka's head movement was an issue in this fight. And on top of that, probably more significantly, his footwork was the issue, and specifically the move of going backwards. He would go 3 or 4 steps straight back. And like one of the first lessons you learn from a really good trainer is if you're going backwards, you take 1 to 2 steps at most. And most trainers will say 1 step. You take 1 step back and then you go left or right. You pick an angle and you go that way. Because otherwise, you're allowing your opponent to gain momentum on you, and you become less and less effective going backwards. And on top of that, if you add no head movement, you're just a sitting duck. So Tanaka just needs to sort of drill that, take 1 step back and then go left, right, duck under a shot, roll out, reset the distance, reset the range, reset the combination, and you're good to go. And he just wasn't doing that. And that's a simple thing he can fix. He's young too. He's 14-0 now, and he's a 3-division champion. He's obviously fighting at the elite level still, but he is still young. So I expect issues still. Like I said with the other guys who are still 17 or 20 fights. Tanaka's still only 13 fight pro. I expect issues, but I expect him to shore these issues up quite fast because he is a 3-division champion. He is a borderline top 10 pound for pound talent, and he shouldn't be making these issues.
Is that something that he's always done, or is it
Yeah,
just okay?
kind of. He
Um,
hasn't really done it as much. I should say this. Opponents really haven't made him do that as much. Like this fight, he was
yeah,
doing that a
maybe it was
lot.
just that guy.
Yeah,
You can just meet that guy in your career that maybe you're having a slightly off. You're not quite on it, and
definitely
just
happens.
find a guy that you maybe take a little longer to figure out. They might have slightly different moves and I don't know, mannerisms or whatever, and it can just be that guy. He's not got your number, but you just didn't find the keys to
Yeah,
unlock that knockout as you have been doing, and it can just throw you off your game. And so I'm not always, obviously fighters are looking to improve, but I'm not about to. Those body shots look pretty brutal in the end. He obviously coped with what happened and got through it and on to the next ones, but always look to improve, I guess.
I will say that did kind of look like an off night for Tanaka. Like this was a guy that wasn't as good as let's say Shokamura or like Angel Tito Acosta, and both fights he didn't do that sort of cardinal sin of footwork as much. And maybe I just need to go back and watch those fights and see what technically was happening, why that wasn't happening as much. But to me, maybe it just was an off night. But moving on.